Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. I've got another brand new matchbook in the Matchbook series from Art Impressions. And the other day I showed you the Matchbook Chapel. This is the Matchbook Get Well. And it's a cute little hospital room, and it's got this little hospital bed and all the little accessories, even some little slippers there. And there's some cute coordinating sentiments as well. So this is the matchbook here, and we're actually going to be making this exact matchbook today because I'm lucky enough to have my artwork on the cover there. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm starting off with the pale rose, and I'm using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and I'm using my blender pen to do the blending. And I'll have the colors in the upper left-hand corner as we go along. And these zigs are a water-based marker, so you could also use a water brush here to do your blending if you prefer. So I'll go ahead and do all the pale rose coloring to start off. Now you could certainly change out this design for a more masculine type of card, but I decided to stay in kind of a pink and white and gray palette. And I didn't really want to introduce too many more colors, but you certainly could make this very colorful. If it was for a child, a get well for a child, you could do like a rainbow color. So really have some fun with this. And you could coordinate this with your pattern paper because we're going to be using some really pretty floral pattern paper to create the base for our matchbook. So now that I've got that colored in, I'll just finish up that little heart and this little box of tissues. You can see all these cute little items you have. There's just so much detail in these little matchbooks. It's just amazing. I absolutely love these. Now I'll switch over to the platinum brown and do the little chair here. And I have done several videos on these matchbooks, and I will link a few for you on my blog. You can always just type in matchbook on my blog in the search, and many of them will come up. I've done a few holiday ones. I did a Christmas one. I did a nativity scene. I've also done the coffee shop and the matchbook kitchen. Just recently, as I mentioned earlier, I did the Wedding Chapel matchbook. So there's quite a few in the series. Now do keep in mind that you do need the matchbook template die set in order to create the base for your matchbook. And I'll be showing you that here shortly. And there's also a coordinating envelope as well. And that is also a separate die set. And that would be your matchbook envelope template die set. And those sets come with some additional cute little items as well. So again, I'll show you that here in a minute. So I'm just going to use that platinum brown to do my shadowing. I did add a little touch of the light gray to the feet on that chair, and then a little shadow on the fluffy little pom-poms on my slippers. And then for the pillow, I'll add just a little gray as well, just for a little shadow here. There are coordinating dies for this matchbook, and there are coordinating dies for all of the matchbooks. So sometimes it's probably a good idea to take a look at the dies and see what is going to be cut out, because that area behind the pillow there on the bed frame does cut all those little openings, and I didn't realize that as I was coloring it in. So you don't have to color that portion of your little scene here. So again, you get a lot of detail, and then there's the little tabs there that we'll use to fold. The dies will create a score line and the fold lines for us to know exactly what to do. So I'm switching over here to the blue gray, and I'll add a little bit of that color as well. And then here's where I added a little bit of that blush color behind the bed, and I didn't need to do that. Again, that area is going to get cut out with the dye. So I'll just quickly show you that I just blended that out. You can skip this part. And then I'm using that blush color here and there on some other items in the room. So now I'll add a little bit of the Haze Blue, just for a few little shadows here. Then next I'm going to grab that sugared almond pink, and I'll do these little flowers in the vase here, adding just a little color to the center and then just pulling it out, keeping the tips of the petals mostly white. Then we'll add a little bit of green to the foliage, and I'm using the mid green. So now I'm going back to that Haze Blue, and I'll just again add a few more little shadows here. So let's take a closer look at the coloring. You can see that again I just kept this palette very simple here. So now let's create the matchbook. This is the matchbook template die set, and this again is a separate die set, and this comes with some coordinating dies. So that's for the template there. This is a little easel that you can put on the back of your matchbook, and that's a little pop-up element for your sentiment. Get a couple of different rug sizes, and then you get these little windows, the arched window and the rectangular window. And then you have a few little icons there, a star, a heart, and a flower. So we're going to grab these dies here. Now let's go to the matchbook envelope die set. Again, this is another separate die set. And you will need this to create your envelope. And this comes also with some extra dies. You get that little mini envelope, a tag, and that little tiny bow. Go ahead and grab the two template dies for the envelope and for the base of our matchbook. And for the pretty pattern paper we're using today, the Flower Market collection from Lawn Fawn. And we're going to be using that pink with the pink stripe. And you can see all the beautiful colors you get here. And this is the 12 by 12 paper pack, which is a double-sided paper. So you can see that stripe is on one side and the flowers are on the other side. So for the matchbook base, I want the inside to be the floral. So I'm going to tape that to the stripe side. And for the envelope, I want the opposite. I want the outside to be floral and the inside to be striped. So you do want to make sure you take a look at that before you go ahead and do your die cutting. And what's nice here is, again, that double-sided paper just decorates both the inside and the outside for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So now you'll see that when you die cut this envelope template, you get a double score line here all the way around. And we're going to go ahead and fold on those lines. And you also get that little notch. That's how we're going to close the envelope. And I'll show you that here shortly. So I'm going to fold on both of those score lines, and that's going to give us about a 1/8 inch dimension all the way around. Now I don't like to attach my envelope together until I'm sure how thick my little matchbook is going to be. So I'm going to set this aside for now, and then we'll worry about the adhesive a little bit later. Now there's also score lines on this template. This is for the matchbook base. And then again, there's that little notch. So we're going to go ahead and fold on all of those score lines. And I'm just using my bone folder to press everything out here. And so you can see we have the base of our design, and that's how it'll fold up. And that little notch is so that we can close that. And then we can tuck that inside our little envelope. So for the envelope, I'm just going to add a little tiny heart. I'm going to die cut 2 of these out of some white Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'll go ahead and attach these together, and that'll add a little embellishment for the back of the envelope. I should also mention that to do all my coloring today, I used the Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, and for ink, for my stamping, I use the Versafine Onyx Black ink. And all of the supplies that I'm using today are listed down below and also on my blog. Now this is the Flower Market collection from Lawn Fawn in the 6x6 paper pack. And I want to show you that the scale is different on these two. So it's much smaller scale on the 6x6, which is perfect now for creating our little rug. And I was trying to decide there which way I wanted to go, whether I wanted it to be striped or floral. I did decide to go with the stripe. And then I'm die cutting it, that little oval rug, one extra time out of that Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock again. And I'll glue these two together just to give that rug a little bit of substance. I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive here today to glue everything together. Now once I have that glued down, we could set that aside to dry, and I'm going to grab my tag stitch die set, and I'll use that little banner die to die cut my sentiment, which says "Here for You." Now let's go back to the Matchbook template die set, and we're going to grab this little pop-up. So I went ahead and die cut that, and it does have a score line, so this can pop up your sentiment. In this case, I wanted my sentiment to be on that little banner, so I'm just going to cut this down just so I can place my banner right over the top of this. Now you could certainly just cut a piece of paper and fold it and create this little tab. But since I had the die, I went ahead and did it that way, and then I'm just going to glue those two together. Now I want to add a little bit of shadowing here before I glue that down. So let's go to that little rug, and we're adding a little bit of that Hickory Smoke ink. This is the Distress Oxide ink, and we'll add that all the way around. And then I'm going to do the same thing for that little banner. Now I can go ahead and glue these two together. So I'm just gluing that little banner to this little tab, and that'll just pop it up on the inside of our matchbook. So now for a little bit of sparkle, I'm grabbing my Wink of Stella glitter pen, and I'm just going to add a little bit of sparkle here and there. I will add it to both of the blankets. Just thought that made those pop out a little bit more. Once that's done, I'm going to set that aside to dry, and I'll show you that up close, and you can see you get a little bit of a pretty sparkle there. So let's grab the coordinating dies, and we can tape those down with a little bit of purple tape, and we'll run those through the die cutting machine. And you do want to take a little bit of time there to make sure these are lined up really well. So I've got everything die cut. Now again, going back to my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, I'm going to start gluing these inside our little matchbook template here. So you can see there how it cut out those little openings on the bed frame. So let's go ahead and fold those two tabs back. So I'm folding them both away from me, and I want to show you what that looks like. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to fold both of those tabs towards the back. And I'm just pressing that out with my bone folder. You do want to make sure you press these down really well. And you can see what that will look like from the back there. So now I'll add some glue to that back tab on each side. So let's start with the left side here. And I'm spreading that glue out with my finger just to make sure it goes right up to the edge there. And then I'm lining this up with the score line on the left and on the bottom. And I just want to check and make sure those little flaps, that my image isn't in the way of those little flaps. So I'm just checking that by closing both of those flaps to make sure it's lined up properly. And then I'll go ahead and put some glue on that other tab. Again, just that back tab. And then we'll fold these two tabs perfectly flat behind our image. And then we'll push that other side flat as well and glue that in place. Now I like to reach in there with my bone folder and just make sure everything is pressed out nicely. And now you can see that creates the little pop-up area there. So let's go ahead and fold the tabs on the chair and that little side table. And I'm again just going to put glue just on that tab and spread that out with my finger. And then we're lining this up along that panel on the left and on the bottom. You want to make sure it doesn't go below that panel. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, just putting glue on that tab and then lining it up with the right side and the bottom of that panel. So now for the little rug and the slippers, I'm going to place that rug just above that little notch there, that little notch that closes the template. And then I'm folding on the score line for the slippers, and that'll just pop up right in front there. And then we'll have our sentiment in front of that little notch popped up as well. So let's go ahead and glue that rug down. You just don't want to put anything right on that notch because you do want to be able to close your template. So I'll place this down and then we'll go ahead and pop up those slippers right in front of this. And you can see that there, how that looks. It's so cute there with the little slippers. Now we'll put a little bit of glue on this little sentiment. And again, I'm going to glue that in front of that notch. So let's go ahead and put our envelope together. So I'm going to pop my little matchbook right inside there. And again, I like to wait to do this. It depends on how thick the paper is that you use or how many little embellishments you add inside your matchbook. So I find it easiest just to wait, pop my matchbook right inside there, add my glue, and then I can just adjust it a little bit here or there if I need to. So once that's dry, I can pop my little matchbook right down inside there, and you can see that it fits perfectly. So let's take a closer look at the matchbook. Just a reminder that all the products I used today are listed and linked down below, and also on my blog. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.